Welcome to Inside the Wave. Thank you, ladies, for coming on. I don't know what episode this is. I think it's like 21 or something like that. Today we have Ava, who's been on the podcast before,
Yes.
and we have Deb, both students at Utopia, but with very different jiu-jitsu journeys. So I'm excited to talk about a few things with you guys today. One is your journeys in jiu-jitsu, and two is being females in a fairly male-dominated sport. And hopefully the listeners, the ladies, will walk away with some confidence that they can start jiu-jitsu and do jiu-jitsu. And I'm hoping the male listeners learn how we can better support you guys and be better training partners.
That's the goal.
Sweet. Deb, tell us about yourself. Just like, it doesn't even have to be jiu-jitsu related, but I know like UFC fan, late life entrepreneur. Do you skydive? I feel like you've skydived before.
I do not.
I am shocked.
That's one thing.
Ran with the bulls. I feel like you're kind of the person that would do all of that stuff.
No, not a fan of bulls. And my dad was a pilot, so he always said, "Why jump out of a perfectly good airplane?" So, that's not my gig. No, I'm not doing that. But not quite that exciting. But I did decide that I'm married. I've got 5 kids, 5 grandkids. We were just talking about I turned 60 last fall. And as I was launching into 60, unlike Cody with his freaking out about being 31, I thought, it's good. I feel good. I'm blessed. I've got great health. I've got a great family. And I wanted to do something for myself at that stage of my life after raising my kids. And I thought about getting my PhD. And that was pretty expensive. And I also didn't realize, or I didn't think that it would really help me in my career any further.
Yeah.
So I watched UFC for the last 6 years or so. Been a casual fan, attended several fights live, very rarely miss a Saturday. And if I do, I rewatch the fights. And I had a son. I have a son that wrestled when he was 3rd grade through high school. And I thought, I want to stay in shape. I want to do something that's really going to be difficult that I've never done before. Was a runner for 30 years. I've lifted weights, cross country and track in high school, but never in a contact sport. And I just feel like I got this inspiration to give you a call. And it was mentally and physically probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. And that was, I just had my 1-year anniversary.
Yeah, I was going to say, you haven't been doing it for that long yet, but you've been consistent since you started. And I think you also bring another cool perspective that you travel quite a bit, and you have a lot of confidence to go just like try new gyms and stuff like that. So you've stepped inside of quite a few different jiu-jitsu schools. How many schools do you think you've been to?
In the past year, in addition to Utopia, I tried 2 in northern Wisconsin, 2 in Rockford, Illinois, when I spent quite a bit of time there this summer for business, and 2 in Naples, Florida.
I think you've dropped into more jiu-jitsu schools than I have, and I've been doing it for like 18 or 19 years. But that's super cool. Ava?
Yes.
We've talked about it on the podcast before, but refresh our listeners on the Ava story.
Yes.
Because it's completely different.
It is very different. I started early on in life compared to a lot of people. I started at 14, 15, came into the gym because a friend recommended the cardio kickboxing at the time. And I was kind of having less fun with volleyball, still wanted to be active. So I decided, why not give it a try, hit some things, should be fun. My mom freaked out. She did not think I was going to do it. She didn't like that I was doing it. And that actually pushed me to commit to it more than I think I would have originally. So I did the cardio kickboxing for probably a year or 2. And then COVID happened. And we had to sign up for classes. And somehow I got registered for a jiu-jitsu adult class rather than the adult kickboxing class. And when I tried to get it switched over, it was too late. And it was like, no, just come try it
You
out.
probably did that on purpose.
Yeah, that's my theory. And so I came and tried it out, and I was like, oh, this is actually kind of fun. But I was still like almost 18, so still like a teenager, didn't want to be like touching grown men. And so I was like, this isn't for me yet. So I stuck with what was in the MMA program, so the live like kickboxing and whatnot. And I did some of the women's jujitsu classes that we had on like the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, I did my first pancreation fight down at Primal, and I realized I needed a better ground game. So I decided to start doing jujitsu more regularly then, came and joined like the adult classes, went away for college for a little bit in Stevens Point, did some Muay Thai, MMA, some more cage fights, and then realized I needed my brain. And so I heeded my father's concerns and stopped doing Muay Thai and MMA and just started doing jiu-jitsu and came back home to transfer down to Mount Mary and decided to stick it out at the gym and have been doing jiu-jitsu ever since. So it's been six years now that I've been at Utopia.
That's crazy. So, and you are currently a high-ranking blue belt.
I don't know about high ranking, but yeah, it's 4-stripe blue belt. Just got my
That's as high of a blue belt as you can be.
yeah, but is a blue belt high ranking? I don't know.
A high-ranking blue belt.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
very cool. So really cool how you guys got involved and started in jiu-jitsu, but what has made you stick with it so far? Like, what do you find the most appealing? Like, you came in on day one, and I know a lot of times, like, if people make it through those first few months, you know, they'll be with us for a while. What drives you to continue to come into class, to keep doing jiu-jitsu, even after however many 6 years you've been doing it? You know, even with all the traveling that you have going on, you could easily, when you travel, be like, I'm on vacation, I'm just not going to do anything, right? But you take the time out of your vacation to still go do jiu-jitsu. What's your why behind it?
I think my why has changed a lot over the years, and we've talked about my struggles with jujitsu and life balancing and just going from being a young adult into like actual adulthood. It's kind of changed. Originally, it was self-defense, right? And that's kind of always the underlying. Like, I want to be able to defend myself, my future children, if anything should happen. Recently, though, it's been more of a way to keep in shape. That's been really what's been getting me on the mat, because sometimes the fact of self-defense just isn't enough to get me there. So, staying in shape, it helps that Cody and I are together and we live together, and he's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. So on days that I don't want to go, he drags me. But yeah, I think really right now, knowing that it'll help me in the long run overall in self-defense, staying in shape, whatever it may be, and also the community, right? They always get me coming back.
Cool. What about you, Deb?
You know, there are days where I ask myself, now, why am I doing this again?
I'm pretty sure we all ask ourselves
Yeah.
that
You know,
sometimes.
you're kind of sore. You guys, it's been a long time since you were white belts, but we were bruised all the time. I'm bruising less and less, and they
Yeah.
don't hurt. It's not like it's painful,
Yeah.
but people are like, is everything okay at home? Because yesterday I had a fitting I have a black tie event, so I had this formal dress, and they were fitting me, and it was a sleeveless dress, and I had bruises all up and down my arms, and the seamstress was like, is everything okay?
Yeah.
You can give me the safe signal. I'm like, no, really, it's just jujitsu. But I really think it's the tenacity and the perseverance that I'm developing. And you'd think, well, you're 60 years old, you're in the fourth quarter, how much perseverance do you need? But I really feel like, for me, my faith is really important, and God just is prepping me always for the next thing and the next thing. And right now, for whatever reason, I'm in a season of, it's time to continue the race, time to continue to persevere and be tenacious. And there are times where, let's say it's a takedown or a throw, which doesn't happen too often in jiu-jitsu, but sometimes,
Yeah.
and I don't like that. I don't like being taken down. I don't like being thrown down, but I get up. And it sounds cliche to say that, but I keep getting up in other areas of my life as well. Family struggles, marriage challenges, business disasters sometimes. all the things that happen in life, I feel like this past year has given me the ability to continue to just keep on fighting and get up over and over again, whether it's literally or figuratively. I just keep getting up. So for me, it's that tenacity and that perseverance that really keeps me coming back. And I don't want to miss, because if I miss a
Mhm.
whole week, is addiction maybe isn't the right word, but I'm hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't wanna go
Mhm.
more than a few days without being on the mat,
Uh-huh.
and I will literally say to my husband, like, "I gotta get back on the mat. I gotta get it back on the mat." Like, who am I?
I'm pretty sure, and it's been a while since I've had to take like a couple weeks off. Um, but I know even like when I go on a long vacation, by the end of it, Aletha's like, you need to go to jujitsu.
Mhm.
Like it clears your head, it makes you feel great. Um, and I think that the big thing that I hear from you, it's, sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. I think jujitsu teaches you that even though on days when you are the nail, you just keep coming back and eventually you become the hammer again. And that happens like everywhere in life. You're a late stage life entrepreneur. Um, I'm sure you see a lot of that in your business. I know you talked about business challenges and jiu-jitsu helping you, deal with those, not like directly, but teaching you lessons that you can learn within that as well. Um, do you guys remember the first day on the mat? I'm sure
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah. 'Cause
In,
like
in- well, in kickboxing, you probably remember your first day
I
of
remember
kickboxing, your first
both.
day of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. So I've had a couple like pivotal first days, I would say. My very first day in the gym, I sat in my car for like 30 minutes before class, trying to convince myself to walk in because I
You
was
got there
so
30 minutes
scared.
early.
I got there 30 minutes early. I am a chronic early, like, I get everywhere. My dad was always, because he's in a
Yeah.
wheelchair, so it takes him longer. He was always be the first one there, last one to leave, right? So that's kind of how I was raised. So yeah, I got there 30 minutes early. I lived 5 minutes down the road at the time, and I shaking in my boots. But everybody was so welcoming, and the class itself went really well. It was way more cardio than I thought it was going to be. I thought I'd be a natural, right? We've had a kickboxing bag in my parents' basement since I grew up, and my dad would hit it when he was able to, and but then I did like structured class. I'm like, oh man, I am bad at this. And that kind of made me want to come back and do more. So that was my first one there. My second pivotal moment was when I transferred to like the live sparring, because totally different game, right? You're no longer just hitting a bag, somebody's hitting you back. And that was kind of like a wake up call. And like I was oddly enough okay with getting hit. I didn't want to hit the other person. So it
Oh.
took them a while to get me to like do more than just defend.
Yeah.
But my first jujitsu day, like I said earlier, I didn't choose to do it. I was kind of told to do it. And, Hannah was my first partner and she was great. I
She's
love
great.
Hannah. I miss her dearly. She was just a big bubbly personality. Reminds me a lot of you, Deb, actually. And she was great. She walked me through it, and then I thankfully like Tanner and Dylan were
Yeah.
training. And so, I was scared, but I was super glad I did it. And even though I didn't start it right away after that, it kind of planted the seed of, oh, this is something I could do and could possibly get good at eventually. And I'm glad I did.
I don't know if anyone is ever a natural in jiu-jitsu on day one. I feel like jiu-jitsu is such a hard
So
sport
hard.
that like, yeah, you might be a natural, but you're not going to realize it until you're like 6 months or a year in that
Mhm.
like, okay, you are. Because
Mhm.
the skill gap is so wide,
Yeah.
right? It's just crazy.
It's
Eh,
always changing.
I mean, there's even days where I feel like I am great at jiu-jitsu, but then there's days where I'm like, I don't know anything at all.
As a 3-stripe black belt.
Yes. People say that all the time. Like, the new person comes in, they're doing fundamentals class, and I have to tell them all the time, like, I'm still learning, and there's days where I feel like I don't know anything
Mhm.
because people think that's actually going to go away at some point in time, and it
Yeah.
never.
It doesn't.
At least for me, maybe for like
Doesn't.
Gordon Ryan or like those people that are many-time world champions, but
Mhm.
no, I think for your typical hobbyist or even, lower rank competitor that stopped competing after a while, like, I don't think that goes away. But I
It
think that's
never
why I
will.
love jujitsu so much, is because there's always so much to learn. And uh, when you do run into those situations where you don't feel like your jujitsu's broken, or, there's knowledge gaps of like, I don't know how to figure my way out of this puzzle. Jiu-jitsu teaches you to look at that in a growth perspective, right? Versus like a victim mentality of, I'm just getting beat up all the time. Teaches you how to take control of it. Deb, what was your first day like?
Well, we just had a year anniversary. I was the only one that celebrated, but I noted the date because I have a journal that I keep track of some of this stuff.
That's cool.
Working on, try to learn a takedown, Deb. Try to get a couple of escapes down. So I love to read written word, preferably on paper. I mean, obviously I read a lot of digital content too, but it was March 26th of 2025.
Oh, wow.
So I walked in and it was Drew. I had the appointment with Drew.
Yeah.
And it was the fundamentals class. And I was early, but I walked in early. Had my dog with me. He's like, you can come back in 15 minutes. So I took my dog for a walk and came back in. And Dan Monahan was my coach, who I love and adore. I miss him. Hopefully I have seen him. He has rolled a couple times.
Yeah.
Recently I had a chance to be with him and he was just gassed and he was like, oh, it's the best day I've had in the longest time. I was like, I'm so glad you're back, Dan. But he was very kind. And I was struck by the physicality that I pride myself on being in pretty good shape, but this is a totally different cardio game. And even the drills, I couldn't do a technical stand-up.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't do those wrestlers, grapplers sit-ups. And I thought, how did I get to this point? And Dan said, well, when you're at home watching TV or, every time you get up off the floor, try to just get up without your hands. And I'm thinking, I don't usually sit on the floor. It's just not a thing that I do. But my first wins were, hey, I can do a technical stand-up.
Yeah, the warm-ups.
Hey, I can get through the warm-up without thinking I'm going to throw up. I mean, that very first day, I thought, if I throw up in front of these people, I'm going to be so humiliated. I was that gassed and embarrassed by it, but I just kept doing it. And everyone was so kind. And no one was judgmental. No one laughed. I have a son, my youngest son, who thinks it's, he's like, Mom, you're messing up everybody else's workout. They don't want to work out with somebody like you.
No.
And he kind of got in my head a little bit. I've gotten through that since then, but he pretty much feels like men should be training with men and women with women, which we'll touch on a little bit, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I was so struck by the respect and the non-judgmental character of the people that were there. And I've tried to continue that when new people come in. I tease Drew all the time that I might have said it to you once. I'm like, I should be your director of, I don't know, or the orientation director or something. Because there are things that I know because I'm still so new that I feel it's important to explain to them, especially women that are coming in. We just need a little more explanation sometimes. So anyway, that was my first day. I never looked back. I mean, I just kept coming back time after time and try to get there 2-3 times, usually twice a week. Sometimes I'm traveling, so it averages out to about twice a week.
I mean, I think most later stage people in life, like 2 days a week is even sometimes challenging to do, between kids, family, job, career, spouse, partner, like whatever it might be. I think I tell every new student, like 2 days a week that's what you aim for, right? Everything beyond that is icing on the cake, unless you're trying to be a world champion or you have all the free time in the world. Like, just 2 days a week. What is it like in general, just training in a very male-dominated sport, right? Like the days you go to class and you're the only woman in class, or maybe when you visit a gym and you're the only woman there. Tell me about it. I don't even know where to start with that. I'm sure you guys have.
Man,
feelings.
I could put out a soapbox and stand on it all day about
just
this,
stand on this table.
right? Yeah. I mean, when I first started, we didn't have a lot of women in the gym. We had like almost no women in the kickboxing program.
Yeah.
And we definitely, I think Julie at the time was the only other woman in like the sparring program,
Yeah.
particularly. Like cardio kickboxing, we had the moms that had
Mhm.
their kids in jujitsu on the other mat. But sparring was really my first like introduction to this is a male dominated sport, right? Because I see the kids and there's a bunch of girls on the mat, sometimes more girls training in the kids' classes than boys.
I mean, I think we in our kids program, this is just
I
my,
think we
my
have more
hunch,
girls than
but like
boys.
based in the classes that I teach, we have more girls than
Yeah,
boys
which is
in
super
our youth
cool to
program.
see, especially as somebody that does coach occasionally, right? So that up and coming generation is making it more of a co-ed sport.
Yeah.
But when I first started, man, I remember I had to fight really hard to not get respect from people because like Deb was saying, everybody is so kind in our gym, but to feel like I belonged there and to
Yeah.
feel like Deb was saying, like I'm not messing up their workout. And that was something I had to get over for a really long time. And the kickboxing, like MMA portion of it was these dudes could knock me out if they wanted to. Am I really giving them a challenge?
Mhm.
But you find your partners that work really well with you and you just keep showing up. And eventually you do become a force to reckon with, for lack of better terms. But especially in jiu-jitsu, right? That was the biggest thing that originally turned me off to the sport was I didn't want to train with the men. I didn't as like a sexual assault survivor, right? Like all these other things. I'm like, I do not want to put myself in compromising positions with men. And so I only did the women's jiu-jitsu.
Which is interesting because like you were there to become better at
Exactly.
self-defense, right?
Right? And so you need a realistic viewpoint.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
think that finally clicked in my head of I can't just be training against women. Like, oh, in theory, for self-defense, a woman probably isn't going to be the one attacking me or somebody that I need to
Yeah.
worry about, right? And so I actually I went from only training with the women to now I hardly ever train with the women. I mean, we have a really good women's group, right? We have probably 15 women that are
Yeah.
consistently
I
training
mean, I
now.
feel like we're up to the point where we're like every class we have like 4 or 5.
4 or 5. Yeah. I mean, Thursday night we almost outnumbered the men.
Yeah.
And which is really cool to see. And we've done like our ladies takeovers nights and stuff, but yeah, I mean, and now I still do a good mix of both. Like I'll train with the women and whatnot, but when I'm really trying to work, I'll go with those upper belt men because I feel like our gym has really created a culture where a lot of the guys know how to roll with women to still give them a challenge, but also being respectful
Yeah.
and not just beating the crap out of you. And they also do a really good job of like reassuring, like, no, you actually are like getting me a good workout in too, kind of
Yeah.
a thing. So it was very daunting at first, but now, I mean, I wouldn't trade it for the world. And maybe it's just our gym culture. I have trained at other gyms and I've seen a lot of like similarities
Yeah.
in it, but I know that's not the case all over the board. So
Mhm. Deb, what about you?
Well, I have a very different perspective because I'm thankfully I haven't been through some of the stuff that you have been through, and I have a lot of friends that when I bring it up, they've had past trauma that they don't feel comfortable, or they have germ issues, or they don't want somebody sweating on them, that kind of thing.
That is the
Sweat in
wrong
the
sport.
eye.
That is
Yeah.
the wrong
Sweat in the
sport for
eye, in the
you.
mouth.
Yeah. So when I ask them, would you like to come, and they hear about that, they get a little queasy for one reason or another. So I don't have any of those issues. Now I'm a boy mom. I have 2 girls and 3 boys. I had 4 grandsons before I finally had a granddaughter. I own a franchise that's a barber shop. I've got 110 barbers and stylists that work with me, and literally thousands of male clients
Yeah.
across 13 locations every week. So I deal with men a lot. And I started my career with Northwestern Mutual when I was 19 as a college agent. This was
Oh,
back in
yeah.
the 80s, friends. And very male dominated culture. I was one of the few women at the time. So I've worked in that corporate culture. I feel very comfortable with men. I love men. I respect our differences. And I think that for me, I didn't have any issues with, maybe it's my age. I didn't feel it's a workout. Like the great Dan Monahan says, it's only weird if you make it weird.
That is true. That is true.
So,
The challenge is we have a lot of people that make it weird.
oh yeah. See, and
I've a fun weird.
Yeah.
I've not experienced that. It's like, you're wrestling, you're grappling, so
Yeah.
you're going to touch each other's parts, but I don't
Yeah.
have any issue with that. I mean, I've already had to apologize I've never really seriously hurt anybody, but sometimes you
Accidents happen.
say you're
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
Happens.
it does.
Do you think there's pros and cons being a woman on the mat? What are they?
I
I'm
think
I'm
so.
just curious.
I mean, the biggest pro that I can think of is like you get a realistic look at, can I actually defend myself? How would I actually feel or react if a man were to challenge me, right? Or
Mhm.
something were to go wrong. And I feel like that's nice because you don't necessarily get that with some of the women. Being one of the highest ranking women in our gym, it's like I get a good workout in with all the women, but it's not to the point where it's like, and no disrespect to any of our women, right? They're all great competitors, great teammates, but it's different than when I train with the men, right? I get more of a realistic look
Yeah.
at it. But I feel like on the flip side of that too, right? One of those cons is like always in the back of my head, am I ruining your workout? Am I taking away from what you're doing? Am I right? And I know that's not the case because nobody in our gym has ever made me feel that way. I've just made myself feel that way. And after talking with a lot of women, I feel like that's a common thought for a lot of women is, especially these men that are higher ranking and they've been there for the longest time, it's like, I don't want to take away from you getting better. And I almost feel like sometimes like, okay, this is something I have no clue what I'm doing, right? For example, Drew and Cody, love them very much, right? They're my favorite training partners. I train with them all the time. And you,
I'm sitting right
Perry,
here.
you are also
I'm
one of my
sitting right
favorite
here.
training partners, but for like techniques, right? I usually
Oh.
partner with Drew or Cody. And Monday night, I was totally out of it. Paul was showing us like kind of deep half, but not really. I don't know. It was some like entryway
Middle
into,
half.
yeah.
Just make that-
Oh no. It was something where you had to spin around the leg and elevate it. It was weird. And I was not grasping it. I could just see on Cody's face that he was just so frustrated with me. And so I had him and Drew go together because I'm like, I'm just not being a good training partner. And in that moment, I'm like, oh, did I just take away from like you getting better? But that's not the case, right? Like everybody, a wipeout male would do the same thing. So
And I think something to keep in mind for like jiu-jitsu people listening is one of the best skills you can develop in jiu-jitsu is the ability to learn from anyone.
100%.
Right? Like, okay, maybe you weren't a good training partner for me to learn that technique, but that was a learning opportunity for me to learn how to be a better teacher.
Yes, and
right?
that's what
And how to
Cody
help you.
said. Mm-hmm.
So
At
like
the moment, yeah.
there's always some little golden nugget somewhere.
Yeah.
I remember one of my first times traveling and doing jiu-jitsu in a drop-in, and it was at a gym in like the Phoenix
Mhm.
area in Arizona. And I went to a class, and the class was taught by a blue belt. And I think I was I don't know, probably like a purple or brown belt at that time. And I learned a ton. He had like a very unique game, much different than mine, way different style than, what I saw from my coaches. And I learned a ton from it.
Yeah.
But I think that's just something jiu-jitsu students need to keep in mind. I think that's something that new students need to also understand.
Yeah. Don't
Right.
let your head
Plus,
get out of your head.
we didn't have it when you started. You actually went into it, but our fundamentals program
Yeah.
is actually for that reason, right?
Mhm.
So, the new person's not getting partnered with the super experienced person that not that they need to be like baby, but they need a lot more guidance, right?
Yeah.
So we put people in our fundamentals program because that's the point of it is everyone is brand new in there,
For
or
sure.
at least is there to work on the basics.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
feel like
it's tough.
the only other con I can think of, and this is just being a younger female in jiu-jitsu, you go to certain gyms, thankfully not our gym because we have a great gym community, but you get hit on a lot, like during rolls.
Oh yeah,
Like-
see, this doesn't happen to you, gentlemen.
The amount of time.
The old lady strength, the old grandma
You
thing,
know?
big
Yeah.
turn off.
Annika and I have talked about it.
Can't wait till it
with
happens,
some of
Deb,
the
and then
other
you come to
women.
Deb's gonna come to me one day and be like, "You won't believe what happened."
It did happen to me in Naples.
There
A
you go.
68-year-old guy. He's like, I don't see a wedding ring. I'm like, well, I don't wear my wedding ring
Yeah,
you
when
were
I
like-
roll.
married, I
We're like,
promise.
"Sir, you're too old for me."
That's
my
so
life.
funny. But yeah, like just like some, right, you go to gyms with a younger population or even not a younger population. I've been hit on by guys that could probably be my father. And it's just they make it weird and it's unfortunate because like we mentioned, the sport shouldn't be
All right,
weird.
top takeaway from this, gentlemen.
Don't hit on your training
Don't.
partners.
No,
I can't say that. I'm dating somebody, but
they're there for a workout, but like let it organically happen,
yes,
right? Like
100%.
yeah, like be at jujitsu to do jujitsu.
Yes.
I think the biggest con for me is male female and weight differences.
That's true.
I mean, I learned this in Naples last week that they're very it's a Brazilian couple that started this gym.
Mhm.
And it's very traditional is the way I guess you
Mhm.
kind of explained
Yeah,
it to
for
me when
sure.
you get there, you line up by rank.
Oh yeah.
There's a 30-minute warm up and the warm up is push-ups, pull-ups, the ones where you hang from the bar and you pike your legs. I can't do that. I'm working on that.
That's very Brazilian.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
you're doing squats, all these. I mean, the 30-minute warm up, I'm dying, and there's no air conditioning. It's Florida, it's hot.
Yeah.
So it was a good. I lost a couple pounds there.
There you go.
But they also are very careful with who they pair you with. The black belt, the gentleman that teaches the class that I go to, he will if there's usually no other women there, I have to go with him, or he'll maybe pair me with a high-ranking belt that he knows is going to be careful with me.
Yeah.
But he will not let me go with the younger, bigger guys. And he said this to me last week. He said, Deb, they have weight classes for a reason. And there's a reason why women compete against women and men compete against men. So in training, he said, I'm your lifeguard. Like, I need to make sure that everybody's safe here. And that was something that really struck me, that there's just the physical differences between men and women are so great that I don't want to say it's a con, like I feel badly about it, but it's a reality. So for
For sure.
self-defense, like for me, my very first fundamental class with Dan Monahan, I blurted out with no filter. I can't even remember what we were doing. The winter, what are they called?
Yeah,
Drills.
one of the drills.
Drills,
Yeah.
Is that we do? Yeah.
And I don't even remember who I was partnered with, but I literally said out loud, gentlemen, this is why I carry a gun. And
Yeah.
sweet Dan was like, well, hopefully, we can teach you some skills and
Yeah.
you won't feel that way. I'm like, I'm never going to feel that way because your lungs are bigger, your muscles are stronger, your
Yeah.
bones are more. I'm like, there's no way I can compete with you or maybe even defend myself.
Jiu-jitsu's of all of the grappling martial arts, it's the one where gender, size, strength doesn't matter as much,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think with
Mm-hmm.
a good set of jiu-jitsu skills, you guys against an untrained person will, even if they're male and larger, will do pretty damn good.
For sure.
But I tell people all the time too, like I would also rather be the bigger and stronger person in any fight. Like it doesn't matter as much in most as it does in like most contact sports.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, it is very helpful to be 215 pounds and jacked and 28 years old.
Oh man, if only.
Um,
Testosterone.
But
is a hell
I
of
do
a
think
thing.
one thing that we do, like I don't feel like I need to lifeguard as much as you said, and I certainly do. I think in our programs, having that split between fundamentals
Mhm.
and how we approach fundamentals with like very minimal open sparring, no open sparring, creates a much safer environment. And then we're essentially training those people in fundamentals to be good training partners by the time they get to advanced class. And then by the time they get to an open role, they realize that, oh, I'm a big person that can't control myself. Maybe I shouldn't go with the brand new person or the smaller person or, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And I do agree with that. I think there isn't a fundamentals class at this gym. So he takes one look at me and sees my white belt and he just wants to make sure some of these guys are young,
Yeah.
28 and
Yeah.
200
Just don't
pounds,
realize
and they're
it.
just
Yeah. They're like, the
very
big
aggressive.
dogs that think they're lap dogs, right? That's what I like to use as my analogy. They think they're being gentle, they're really not. But I have noticed, before our fundamentals program, we used to give the new women a list of people to avoid. Like, we have a group chat of all of
Oh,
our
yeah.
women in it. Before, like, women that no longer train with us are still in it, and new woman that signs up, we automatically put them in. And we used to have a list of, do not roll with these guys, they're
Yeah.
gonna hurt you, wait until you feel more confident. And we don't do that anymore. I mean, there are a few people where we're like, hey, maybe stay away from that person for a while, like they're newer, or they just don't realize they spaz out, or whatever it may be. But since the implementation of the fundamentals class, that list has gotten quite a bit smaller, if almost non-existent.
Well, and
which is
your
nice.
team, Drew and Vern pulled me aside a month or so ago, and they said, we really like you, we really like having you here, and we're concerned that you're rolling with people you shouldn't roll with. And I didn't know I could say no. And I thought,
yeah.
like, as soon as anytime anybody says you want to roll, I always say yes, because I didn't want to be a wimp.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be that, oh, it's that lady that doesn't want to roll.
I say no to people.
I was say,
Well, I didn't know that. That was now I
Yeah,
know. But
yeah.
at the time, it was, we had some really big
Big
guys
dudes.
this summer that were, I won't name names, but very tall, very athletic, very muscular,
Muscular.
very heavy, one over 300 pounds. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll roll. And they're like, Deb, you're 125 pounds. Like,
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
don't do that.
No is a complete sentence. That was probably my most valuable jiu-jitsu lesson in my 6 years of training. You don't need to tell them why.
Yeah.
Just say no. I've had one roll stopped in the middle of it, and I didn't even stop it. One of the guys
Yeah.
was watching it, and he came on the mat, and he didn't pick the guy up off me, but he was like, no. He's like, I'm not watching that. And then afterwards, they were like, you can say no to like some of these newer guys or whatever. And so,
See, that's where the
You don't need to
the
explain.
director of
Yeah.
new enrollment. I didn't know that.
Orientation.
Now I know.
Yes.
What do you guys wish men understood about training with women that they might often don't realize?
I wish. I mean, I know we talked a lot about like size difference and things like that. On the opposite end of that, I wish some guys wouldn't or would know that we're not as fragile as some of them seem to think.
Beat you up a little bit sometimes?
Yeah, like you don't
Go
need
ahead
to
and
be,
try.
Yeah, like it's like you don't need to be afraid of rolling with a woman. Unless they've like told you no multiple times, then get the hint. Don't keep asking them to roll, right? But women are there for a reason. Everybody has their own. We have some women in our gym that only train with women, and that's totally fine. But the majority of women, I feel like now in the sport, are okay rolling with men, or they're there to roll with men to get that realistic feel. And you don't need to be afraid of rolling with a woman. Don't go all out. We're not another man, right? Testosterone, bigger muscles, whatever it may be.
I just rolled all
But-
out with you on Thursday.
I know, and I felt like, oh, I've never done a day of jujitsu in my life. No, it was good. It was good, Perry. I needed it. I was riding a
But
high.
I didn't smash you.
You didn't smash me. You just out techniqued me, which is good, and I need that.
And I don't even
occasionally.
really know what smash you means, but sometimes,
putting all of their weight.
and I told a gentleman on Thursday, I said, it's a moneymaker right here. I might be old, but I have a career. I talk to people. That smashing your face thing into the mat, I'm not a fan of that. I'm just
Yeah.
going to tell you that.
Like,
So-
use your common sense, but
So I think there's like three things that happen. Like you can be completely dominated by technique.
Mhm.
You can be controlled so hard, like you just can't do anything. Like
Mhm.
I can smash people in side control and like put all my weight on them and tap them out.
Yeah.
Which is scary sometimes, right? If someone's just completely, sometimes it's actually easier to just be tapped out and swept a billion times softly
Mhm.
than it is for someone to completely like manhandle you in a way that, maybe I shouldn't say manhandle on this podcast, but like manhandle you in a way that you can't do anything.
Yeah.
Like I
For
can just
sure.
I can just stick someone to the ground and do whatever I want
Mhm.
sometimes. But I think the thing that we need to watch out for is and I think this is what you guys are alluding to a little bit, is the people that don't have a lot of control of their own bodies.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's one thing of like putting pressure on the side of your face. There's another thing rolling with the person that doesn't understand where their elbows are in space and will accidentally hit you in the face.
Mhm.
And those are more the people that I avoid putting newer students or smaller students with, is like the people that just don't understand how to control their own bodies yet.
Sure.
And some people learn it quick. Some people it takes a long time.
Mhm.
But that's always something like I'm always watching out for too.
Yeah.
I don't see this very often, but sometimes I'll roll with a man who will apologize a lot. There's a lot of I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. It's like it's a contact sport. I'm
Yeah.
good, I'm here for a
Yeah,
reason. You know,
yeah.
if you bump me or touch it's okay. Let's just keep it going.
Yeah.
So I think they're being polite,
Mhm.
but they don't
Yeah.
have to say I'm sorry.
We have a lot of very polite men in our
We
gym.
do.
We have
I mean,
a
I've
lot of
definitely, like,
respectful men.
Punched a woman in the boob before on accident,
sure.
or like,
Yeah.
It
and then I'll say I'm sorry.
It
The same way, like if
happens.
I need a guy in the balls,
Yeah.
I'd also say
I'm sorry.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's one thing. I just feel like sometimes it's, oh, sorry.
like
It's
every little
I'm,
thing.
I'm
It's
good.
like, oh,
I'm not
I
that,
put my weight on
like
you.
you
I'm
said,
so sorry.
we're not that
Yeah.
fragile.
I
Yeah.
know what I signed up for.
Yeah.
But don't put, I think too, many men don't understand how strong they actually are.
Mhm.
And so even though they're giving us just a little bit, sometimes it's too much. They're
You're
just
gonna
too strong.
So you're gonna get me on my rant about people in jiu-jitsu that are strong.
Mhm.
Sometimes big people, them not using strength is more strength than what you have,
100%.
right? Like a 215-pound male Deb, them not using strength is still more strength than what you have.
Yeah.
So
Right.
people need to be aware of, like, I need to not use strength. I need to use
Mhm.
that person's level of strength,
Yeah.
right? Or better yet, just move instead of using strength, right? Use connection versus like squeezing
Technique.
would be nice sometimes. What else about men?
I feel like I often have heard in the past men like, like they talk like locker room talk on the mat, which is totally fine. But then when it carries over into how they like think about the women and like rolling with the women, like I've heard like, oh, I need a rest round. I'm gonna go roll with one of the women. And I'm like, don't say that, because then I'm gonna roll with you and I'm gonna try to choke you out. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna make me mad, And so like I think they need to know like we're not your restaurant. Don't get cocky about it, because you're gonna run into a woman who's been training for a very long time, and like some of the female like brown belts, purple belts, like they're killers.
I also feel like the people that are saying stuff like that are the ones that are not staying with jiu-jitsu very
Exactly.
long.
Yeah, they're usually the like white belts or like
Yeah.
brand new blue belts that have been
Yeah.
like wrestled in the past, whatever it may be. So we're not your restaurant.
Yeah.
But also you don't have something to prove with us, right? Like I get that sometimes where again, 4-stripe blue belt, I roll with a newer white belt man and they're going like balls to the walls. And it's like, why are you doing this? You just rolled with a blue belt man that you were rolling just fine with. And like I'm at the point in my jujitsu where I may not be able to, I can't outstrength them, right?
Mhm.
But I can control the roll. I can tone them down a little bit. I can damper what they're doing. I may not be able to get on top and submit them, but I can at least slow them down a little bit and change the pace, which is really all I want. I don't need to be out here breaking people's limbs. I need to just be able to control them from hurting me. And so thankfully I'm at a point where majority of my rolls with brand new blue belt men or white belt men, I can do that with. But it's always without fail, unless I've rolled with them in the past, it's like, you don't have something to prove. Why are you like,
Yeah.
like don't stiff arm it. just relax. Like
Yeah.
you're okay. Don't go on either end. We're not your restaurant, but you also don't have something to prove.
I think, I just have a great respect and understanding. This again is probably perspective and just
Mhm.
life experience of
For
the
sure.
differences between men and women. And I just think they should be celebrated in life. But when I'm on the mat, I honestly don't think about if it's a man or a woman. I don't know
Yeah.
if I'm weird like that, if that's a
Yeah.
weird thing, but I've just tried to look at it as this is another training partner.
Mhm.
And I just don't, these questions are not something that I really ever thought about
Yeah.
because I just go in as we're training partners. sometimes I don't even know. A lot of times I am the only woman,
Yeah.
but it doesn't dawn on me, and I just don't really
Yeah.
think about it. It's like, this is
Yeah.
the situation, and this is what we're doing. I think men, for the most part, are very respectful, especially Utopia. I mean, I just
Mhm.
can't say enough about the respect. Maybe that if a man would ever feel offended if I said no, I didn't want to roll, which I rarely say no, but I wouldn't want them to be offended by that,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
I just think that we're both amazingly created, and
Mhm.
men are just fabulous for lots of reasons, and women are fabulous for different reasons,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we can do this together and get a good workout. For me, it's aging well.
Mhm.
Learning how to get up off the floor without my hands, learning how to fall.
Mhm.
Oh, I fell yesterday
Oh.
on the ice.
Oh,
Was it
no.
yesterday or the day
I've
before?
never heard someone so
Oh, no.
proud
She
that they
was like,
fell.
Oh,
did
it
you
was
break fall? Did you
well,
break fall?
it was Thursday when we had all that the ice.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
out walking my dog, and I don't do anything slowly, so I'm walking. The grass was crunchy and I could see all the ice on the trees, but I got to a boardwalk, like a wooden boardwalk, and it had an incline. And I took a step, and I mean, it was glare ice, and I didn't realize it. I'm trying not to move too much here. I instantly went into a sprawl. It was
There
that
you
one
go.
wrestling class I had. And forearms down. I fell forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
fell forward. I didn't fall back, so I
Yeah.
didn't
Okay.
break fall.
No break fall.
But I instantly sprawled, put my forearms down
Yeah.
instead of posting, and I just slid down the icy boardwalk into the grass.
So there are forward break falls and
There
side
are.
break falls and
Yep.
back ones, and sounds like you executed a very good one.
Mhm.
I was so proud of myself, and I jumped up, and I
Mhm.
thought if this had happened a year ago, I'd be crying on that boardwalk for like 10 minutes, hoping somebody would come by and find me. So it was like a real life application of my jujitsu skills. Muscle memory kicked
Yeah.
in.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty happy to fall.
Yeah.
I didn't get hurt. Didn't get hurt.
I feel
People
like
my age can break a hip when
Yeah.
they fall,
Yeah.
Carrie.
Yeah.
So
people
for
my
sure.
age can break a hip when they fall. Okay. Some days I feel like I'm 22. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like going back to your point about like, don't be offended if a woman says no to you.
Mhm.
You never know. I mean, for the longest time, I was only rolling purple belt men and above because I was having some PTSD things, right? And like, even if somebody isn't a survivor of whatever, everybody has their own reasonings. And I feel like sometimes you hear, like, oh, she wouldn't roll with me. She must not like me or must be afraid I'm going to hurt her.
Mhm.
It's like, that's not always the case, Men say no to people for a variety of reasons. Women do too,
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they're afraid you're going to hurt them or they don't think you're a good training partner. It could just be, there are a lot of levels to the sport for anybody, right? Mentally, a lot of mental barriers. But because it is a male dominated sport, even more so for women, I would argue,
Yeah.
right? There's even more barriers mentally there. And so don't be offended if they say no.
And
Take it on the chin.
And to your point about more girls in the youth program, I mean,
Mhm.
I'm hearing and reading that women's wrestling is really
Yeah.
coming up.
Yeah.
And my feeling is that for MMA, UFC, that's going to be the ticket in the future,
Mhm.
that we've just got to get more people grappling,
Yeah.
doing jujitsu, working in mixed martial arts, more women, I should say.
For
and
sure.
that'll improve the women's game in the
For sure.
future.
Shout out to Ellie and Audrey. They just finished their women or girls wrestling season and both did fabulous. And they were Utopia student athletes since they were real small.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
kick ass. I'm scared of Ellie. She beats up grown men.
She's so good.
And
They're-
Audrey.
They're both really good.
Yeah.
Let's talk about just general positions in jiu-jitsu. So one thing that, I think about, especially when I'm working with a new, especially women, right, is like, some positions when I'm working with them, I'm just consciously looking out for things, like, because if they have been through like a self-defense situation or trauma or whatnot, like mount positions, going for chokes on them right away can definitely trigger vulnerabilities, right? Where it makes it instantly a, fight or flight response for them. Ava, like with your background, I know you've had experiences with that,
Yes.
being in that position, right?
Yeah.
I think that's one good thing for all, especially men, to look out for, especially with rolling with a new girl or a new training partner. But But are there other positions in jiu-jitsu that you think men should not necessarily like avoid, but maybe don't sit there forever? Like north south
Yeah.
feel really weird doing to a
Yeah.
female, or like a stack pass sometimes. Although that's almost more weird than doing it to a guy because your face is like right there. But
Yeah.
but like, are there positions that you're like, I would just pass on this, on doing this to,
I feel like
especially when you're doing it with like a female that you can
Yeah.
you can
you can
beat.
tell.
You
Yeah.
can beat, right? Like, yes, if I'm going with a brown belt or black belt female that's gonna whoop my ass, like I'm gonna use all the positions in my game to do it.
Use everything you can. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like the biggest one that comes to mind, like you said, north south. I have purposely learned not to give that position up. I do not want to be there. I don't even let people get
Yeah.
there on me.
I mean,
because
it's not a
that's-
fun position to be in the
No.
first place, but like,
Yeah, and a lot of people use it as like a transition, but some people sit in it, and I feel like maybe don't do that with a woman, right? For obvious reasons.
or at
It's
least do like a
weird.
chest on
Do a
face,
chest. Yeah, chest
north
on face
south versus like
instead.
a crotch on face north
Yeah.
south.
The only other one really that I can think of for like, I mean, widespread reasons, right, would be high mount and S mount specifically,
Okay.
where you're like sitting on their face or sitting on like their high chest neck. You're not supposed to be sitting on their face, but right, some people, especially when they're just learning it, they'll get up there and it's like you're sitting on my jaw trying to break my
yeah.
arm, and this is awkward if you're a man. You know, I struggled personally.
It's like you're also
with-
bigger and stronger than me. You don't have to be doing this right now. You can
Yes,
beat me with other
100%.
techniques.
Yeah. And so I feel like those are the two biggest, like, general ones. For me specifically, it was really hard to get past, like, somebody being in my closed guard. I do not play closed guard a lot just because of the nature of, like, the ways I was assaulted. And it's one of those things. And, like, I've gotten through it enough now where, like, I actually taught for my blue belt, for the technique that I taught was the one that I used to defend myself, and it
Yeah.
worked, right? And I teach the women that every time I do a women's self-defense class because it is a really good technique. But I feel like, I mean, it's tricky because everybody has their different ways and they'll work through it in their own way. But yeah, I feel like north south and then like high S mount is probably ones to safe to stay away from.
S-mount is just horrible no matter what. I literally will
Yeah.
just tap like, no, I don't want this.
Yeah.
No.
That's maybe a wimpy thing to say, but I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is, man
I-
or woman. I don't. Moneymaker right
Yeah.
here.
I mean, it's not.
Get off my face.
I mean, for me, it's not sexually vulnerable by any means.
Yeah.
But like your arms are like,
Yeah,
your
you're
face is
trapped.
wrapped
It's
in,
the
like-
feeling of being
yeah.
trapped. I
and
feel
like no matter what, they're so high up on you, no matter what you do with your lower body, it's just kind of like flailing about like a fish.
Yeah.
One thing that we did do at Utopia that a lot of other gyms don't necessarily have this rule
Mm-hmm.
is rash guards under the gi always.
Oh yeah.
And I
needed.
primarily did that for the women to make it
Mhm.
inclusive. I also did it because I don't need to be flossing my teeth with another man's chest hair when they're
Oh
at
my
mount.
God, yeah. Mhm.
But it's likely something you guys don't ever think about because we do that
Mhm.
now. But other gym owners out there, if you want to create an inclusive environment for women, they probably don't want another man's chest hair all up in their face.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it leads into that double standard too, right? Where it's like, oh, if you don't enforce rash guards, a lot of women I've seen, especially younger women. I mean, I've talked to a couple of our teens, just wear sports bras underneath their gis. I'm like, nobody wants that. Like,
Yeah. And
wear a rash guard, wear a t-shirt.
I mean, and this goes to like, so another rule of mine in no gi is like, you need to have sleeves. You can't wear one of those sleeveless rash guards because I also don't want your armpit hair
Oh
on
my
my face
gosh,
either.
yeah. Mhm.
And if you're gonna wear it,
Promise I'll shave next time.
and this has gone, this fad goes in and out, but like tights, spats,
Yeah.
right? Like wear shorts over the top
Mm-hmm.
in training. Like if you're gonna go compete against men,
Yeah.
fine, just
Whatever.
wear your spats with no cup. But like I don't need that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Drew talked to me about that once. That said that one guy that had the spats and
There
little
has
shorts,
been
and
a
they were like,
few.
"You got to leave."
Yeah. You gotta go.
And
You
then-
gotta put shorts on over the top.
And I was
Yeah.
just wearing like leggings. So ever
Leggings.
since then, I always wear shorts. And he said, "Well, it's because of how did he say it? Our testicular condition." And I said, maybe I'm a man, maybe I have testicles. He goes, that would totally shock me.
Yeah.
But now I wear shorts all the time because
Mhm.
even for us, it's just another layer
Yeah,
of
protection.
protection.
Yeah.
It amazes me the women that can train in just shorts. I get horrible mat burn. I think I wore shorts once on the mat and I regretted it for the rest of the
Or
month.
like
Like
what are the
the Nike Pros
what are
or
those like cycling shorts?
Biking
yeah,
shorts.
like little
biking
bike
shorts.
shorts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm like, how is that comfortable? Like I get it. It's just short leggings, but I'm like, I've never been I can't even wear shorts underneath my gi. I feel like I get mat burn through my gi if I'm not wearing leggings. But yeah. That was a
So
tangent.
I would like from each of you, and this can be a challenge because I want a different one,
Oh no.
but give a tip to the gentleman listening. What is one thing that they could do tomorrow that would make a gym a more welcoming and inclusive environment for women? Your number one. What is your number one?
To make it welcoming.
Yeah, you have that new female student, that new student walking in.
I feel
First few months.
when I think about this, the star model, and he probably won't listen to this because he doesn't do the whole social media thing. But I think of Drew, right? Which helps because he's on our team. But Drew is so respectful when it comes to women. And he doesn't submit women until he's rolled with them a couple times. He introduces himself to them right away. Like, make yourself known to the women. Like, go introduce yourself. Treat them like you would any other male training partner. But let them approach you, right? If you notice they're sitting out, they're the odd man out, nobody's asking them to roll, then go up and approach them.
Yeah.
But Drew does such a good job, and it's always made me feel very welcome, and other women feel very welcome because I've heard stories about it of he introduces himself, treats them like any other male trading partner. He'll partner technique with them if they need a partner, but he doesn't go out of his way to be like, let's roll, let's partner. Because that can come off as a little weird. So I guess my tip would be introduce yourself, be friendly, treat them like a male training partner, but let them come to you. And when you do roll with them the first couple times, don't submit them. Just kind of feel it out. If they're oh, hey, women are really good at communicating what we want in a roll, right? So I'll tell people when I'm rolling with them, hey, you can go harder, you can increase the speed, or hey, you can submit me, But I feel like it's important the first couple times until you get a feel for how that woman trains and how comfortable her level is. Take it not easy, but go at their pace. Don't jump in for the submissions, balls to the walls type thing, if that makes sense. That was a few things.
Oh,
It
it
wasn't
does.
just one.
I agree. I think
Cheater.
Drew does a nice job. One thing that I noticed, and again, this is just from dropping into other gyms, but the gym that I joined now in Naples, and again, I'm almost always the only female, they always shake my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a sport clubs thing. We're supposed to always shake hands. And I
Yeah.
grew up with a mom and a dad who taught us to shake hands. My kids shake hands, look you in the
Yeah.
eye, shake your hand. They always shake my hand. Hey, welcome back. Nice to see you, Deb. And I feel like when new people come in, this is not just for men, but I do this with new students that come in. I always introduce myself and shake their hand. It's like, this is how we show respect.
Yeah.
It's not typical in our culture anymore, especially post-COVID. People get a little queasy about shaking hands, but hey, we're about to roll.
Yeah.
We're going to be sharing germs anyway. So I like the idea of be welcoming, show respect by shaking their hand, just like you would any
Yeah.
other male counterpart. Clearly, we're not the same. I just talked about gender differences, but let's show respect to each other and just let us know that we're welcome, just like any of the other guys that are here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, it's funny that you bring up shake hands. We're about to roll with each other and get way closer. But when I teach self-defense things to adults, I'll go to a company and teach a self-defense lesson. The hardest thing is to get those employees to touch each other.
Yeah.
And I get it, but it's oh, guys, we're not going to be able to do this unless you're okay touching each other.
Yeah.
You might as well hug each other right away because we're going to be doing a lot of that today.
Yeah.
I think that just, knowing what you're walking into and actually walking into it are two totally different things. Next question for you guys. One thing that we've struggled with, I feel like we are on the path at Utopia, is building that women's program, right? Like we've built it, like I picture like we're rolling a snowball and the snowball gets built and then it like melts and a bunch of it falls off, right? And then we roll it again. I feel like we're on a trajectory where like we're really developing a very strong women's program. What can we do? Men, gyms, as well as other women to help build these programs, right? And when I think about building a program, there's two things, right? One is how do you get people into the program? How do you get them to stay past, class number 3? And then how do you get them to stay past, the white belt, right? Because those are your kind of attrition points, right? It's getting someone in the door, getting them to like say, hey, I want to go from trying jiu-jitsu to doing jiu-jitsu. And then from doing jiu-jitsu to now I'm a person that does jiu-jitsu, right? And I think that's what it takes to build a women's program is people that have got that far down the line. What do you think are the big things that everyone can do to help grow that?
I might need to think about this a little bit, get back to you, because I think there could be, of course, my business brain is working right now, but my initial instinct is buddy system, for lack of a better word, where when somebody new comes into any situation, it's really good to have somebody that you connect with, somebody that's going to follow up with you, somebody that's going to check in with you and see how you're doing. And I think we have a good basis for that with Utopia. The ladies chat.
Yeah, the ladies chat, and that's probably part of my team's job.
Yeah.
Right. So like Drew and Vern and our staff is like, we are your accountability friends.
Yeah.
Yes. But, checking in, I know I've often said to new people coming in, women coming in, I hope you come back, and here's my number. If there's anything I can do to help you. But if that could be part of the gym culture that, Ava is going to be we have to come up with a better word than buddy, but, mentor
designated
or
training partner.
somebody that's, well,
DTP.
But even, because coming back that second, third, fourth time is hard. So I think if you can get past that initial hurdle, or if, and I haven't been doing this as long as you all have, but if it's white belt, all of a sudden people want to drop out, how do you partner them with one or two other people that could help them get past that journey? That's my initial thought, but it could be a whole program,
I like that.
I feel like, especially from teaching the teens and starting off when I was a teen, if you are a man with a teenage daughter or nieces, friends with teenagers, you teach teenagers, start talking to them about jiu-jitsu, explain the importance of jiu-jitsu and all the benefits, right? I mean, self-defense is the obvious one, but when you're a teenager, you're not really thinking about that, or you're thinking, I'll go to one self-defense class and I'm bulletproof, right? Start talking to them about it's a sport. You can compete, you can have fun in it. Like the community, make it more than just this one thing. I feel like a lot of women often start jiu-jitsu for self-defense, and that is a great way to get you in the door. But after a while, it's not going to keep you in the door, right? Like I was talking about, my initial thought was self-defense. And then
I don't think it's going to keep you in the door after one class.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Because you're like, I'm going to do jiu-jitsu for self-defense. You go to one class and you're going to be like, nope.
No. Yeah, exactly.
And that happened
Yeah.
recently where we had a young girl that was going to be heading to college this fall, and she came in, and the sweet girl, I mean, I was the only other woman in the fundamentals class, so I was with her, and I mean, I remember explaining to her, like, this is how the takedown's going to work, and I'm going to set you gently down. Don't worry, I'm not. And I remember Drew saying, "Oh, it was really good that you could explain that all to her." But she had the long press-on nails that were falling off. No, they weren't acrylics. They were the press-ons that were just flying all over, and
our teens have
piercings and all these things. And she was, she wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And if I would have been able to talk with her a little bit ahead of time, I mean, to my knowledge, she never came back.
Yeah.
And I just feel like she wasn't prepared for what she was getting into. And
Mhm.
if I would have had a little time with her, or someone would have, and then to follow that along and say, come back next week,
Mhm.
I'll be here,
Yeah.
it would have possibly helped.
I
Yeah.
think planting the seed is a really big thing. When we used to do our retention calls where
Yeah,
we would
yeah.
call them and be
Mhm.
like, hey, at that time we were running a women's program. I'd be like, hey, tell your sisters, mothers, like
Yeah.
daughters, friends, like any woman your colleagues, get them in here. Like your
Mhm.
personal testimony of our gym culture is going to be the biggest way that you can get somebody into jujitsu.
Yeah.
And then, right, we have a good program of following up our process. Being the sales director for a very long time, right? We do have that process in place. And I think what you're saying of having a designated, like a member, be like, hey, like I always like to joke, like Aaron adopted me as his personal white belt, right? Like every class he was
What a
there, he
guy.
was working with me and it got me so much better. And I feel like our women do a good job right now, but it's getting the women in the door, getting them interested. And so if you can plant the seed, anybody I meet, my sisters-in-laws, like my friends in our friend group, whoever, I'm telling them, come just try it. Just give it a try. I'll be your partner. And so if you can make that a safe space before they even get in the door, I feel like that'll be really beneficial. And then I would love to have a consistent women's class. Again, that was so
Yeah.
fun. And it's a great way for the women to have friends and to build that community. We do craft nights with our women at the gym. We organize craft nights and
I
stuff
want to
like
be
that.
invited to craft night.
And
Feel left out.
so it really truly is. It goes beyond the mat. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. A lot of women kind of think of it as a self-defense class rather than a journey.
Yeah. Well, I think there's two different scenarios, right? So like Deb, I think you're talking about like the younger person that just gets, they're going off to college, but
Mm-hmm.
their mom or dad enrolled them into jiu-jitsu, being like,
Mm-hmm.
you need to know self-defense. And it's always like you have they enroll their kid 3 months before college
Yeah,
starts.
not gonna work.
But it's also like
Better than nothing.
and you're like almost forcing them into it,
Mhm.
right? And if you're going to force someone into anything, whether they love it or not, they're going to rebel against it,
Yeah.
right? It needs to be their choice. They need the opportunity to do their own research, to know what they're walking into, right? Like, it's funny, adults will research the hell out of something before they do it themselves,
Mhm.
but will throw their kids into it,
100%.
right? Like, I tell people all the time, it's way easier to sign up a parent for their kids than the parent themselves
Mm-hmm.
for martial arts, because it's way easier to say yes, this person will do something versus like yes, I will do this.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like my biggest thing is use your testimony. And if you're a male talking about it, talk about the women in your gym too.
Yeah.
Don't just talk about yourself and your own, right? I think when I first was trying to get jujitsu in, right? Our friend group, we've been trying for months to get those girls in. And Cody will always talk about, he's like, I love it. It's so fun. And they're like, well, of course it's fun for you. Like, you're a big dude, you're a brown belt, you've been doing it for 9 years. And it's like, but it's fun for me too.
Yeah.
So talk about the women, talk about the culture, make them feel welcome. And then,
So to wrap things up, because I think we've been going for like an hour already. What's next on both of your jiu-jitsu journeys?
purple belt. I want it. I'm gunning for it. No, I say that. It's mostly a joke.
I'm gunning for it, but
I
once I
want
have
it.
it, I want to give it back.
Yes, correct. That is, I want it to say I got it, but
I don't want the target that comes with it.
correct. Yeah. I think just really for me, like I mentioned earlier in this episode, I for the longest time was only rolling purple belt and above.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've started rolling back again with like those white and blue belts and whatnot. And so I feel like doing more like fast paced training is coming up for me again.
Okay.
More, not necessarily competition speed, but I want to start now that I'm coming at the end of my degree and I
Pick up
can
the
really
pace.
kind of, yeah, right. I graduated in May with my master's. I'll be done with school. I'll be able to really kind of dive in. And I think rather than just showing up and doing jujitsu, actually starting to like be more assertive, be more, I'm working with the
Purposeful.
graph manner on it.
Yeah.
doing my jujitsu rather than letting somebody do jujitsu to me is really what I'm aiming for next.
Deb, what about you?
My goals are less lofty. Excuse me. I do actually have some goals that I've written down in my jujitsu journal.
I love this jiu-jitsu
I do
concept.
too.
I have a whole, well, I'm a big chat GPT person. So I literally like designed this. Well, she did for me. Chat did it for me in the beginning of the year when I was setting some goals, a little training journal. You guys use it quite a bit or not? Do you use chat?
For work,
I'm a
yeah.
business owner. I use it all of the
Yeah.
time.
I use it when I'm at work.
So, it's your voice. I've
Yeah.
got all the settings and she gets to know me. I don't know why I always call her
Yeah.
she. I don't name her, but I call her she. And she
Mine is
knows
she.
like there'll be a scripture verse of the week that
Oh.
has to do with my training that week.
Oh, cool.
And then it'll be
Yeah.
maybe I have a again, at this stage, I'm trying to get like one decent escape and one decent takedown. So I'm so new at this still. First, it was fitness, stay alive, learn how to breathe, stop holding your breath, don't throw up. Now I'm like, hey, I think I can do a single leg or, whatever it is. And so I'll focus on that
This
one
stage
thing.
is never going to stop.
Okay.
There's still days where I'm like, I wish I could just hit a single escape.
Yeah. Come on Mondays.
And then it also has kind of a reflection afterwards at the end of the
cool.
week. And I sometimes ask Vern or Dominic,
Yeah.
what's coming up next week? Because I like to think ahead to what the next thing is. So my goals aren't quite that concrete, but I did put in my journal that I'd like to get the 4th stripe on my white belt and start working toward that blue belt designation over the next 18 to 24 months, I think is probably an appropriate time frame. I don't know how that works with me traveling and me
Yeah.
going to other gyms, but my journey is just learn maybe a little more wrestling. Again, I had
Come
one
on Monday
class.
nights.
I mean, I love your perspective because I think too many people, especially new students, get caught up in big goals that take too
Yeah.
long, and then they realize that it's going to take longer than it's actually going to take.
And then they quit.
And then they quit, right? So like I think you need those small goals. So I just picked up running, and I was thinking about this when I was on my run the other day. I'm like, how do I run, 10 miles, right? If I just look at the finish line of 10 miles, it's impossible. But a lot of times I'm like just running down the path and I'm like, I have to get to that tree.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, I'm going to get to that bridge. I'm going to get to that shadow on the sidewalk. And it's like, you need that same thing in jiu-jitsu of like, what is just my little thing this week? I need one more escape, right? I need to create good frames, maybe,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's really important. And without those, jiu-jitsu just ends up being the impossible, right? Like if all you're doing is gunning for that 12-month, 24-month goal, it's going to be hard, right? Because then 1 week you're going to be sick, right? Now it's 24 months in 1 week, right? It's like it gets tough. That's a really good perspective you have. Very cool. Any last words for the audience, for the males, for the females, to the new students, to the students that have been on their journey for a while?
I mean, I like the new students because I still am. I just would love to see more people get involved.
Yeah.
Men, women, kids. I think it's just an amazing community. It's social for me. It's physical. It's somewhat spiritual because I just connect in so many ways with jujitsu and my faith and the way I live my life. It all is just one big, beautiful picture right now. So I would say give it a try. Reach out, try a gym, make sure you check them out. We'd love to have you at ours.
Yep.
And you'll be welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I ended the last podcast I was on with the same thing I'm going to say now, but don't get in your own way. Mentally and physically. Don't get in your own way in jiu-jitsu. I struggle with that a lot. But don't get in your own way mentally either from your progress. You are your biggest opponent. So
cool. And I think one thing I want you guys to realize, and I guess all of our guests and all the people that are the voices of jiu-jitsu is good for you out there, is like you guys sharing your story today will likely impact someone and make them step inside a gym and try it out, or to stay with it, or something like that. So,
That's the
you know,
hope.
you don't realize the impact on just, sharing what you shared today with the community. And I appreciate that of you both.
Thank you for
Well,
having
thank
us.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's
Cool.
been amazing. You're the best.
Awesome. Well, that is it.
All right.
You should, what do they say at the end of podcasts? Leave us a rating, a review, a thumbs up,
review, yeah,
and
a
share
like.
share this with your friends and all of that good stuff.
We'll do.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks all.
Thanks.